5 करोड़ का घर 3 लाख की पगार वाला बंदा रह रहा है। भाई 5 करोड़ के घर का EMI 5 लाख आने वाला है।
So would you say that buying a house is now a dream that Indians should forget? The US government is also purchasing Bitcoin. Trump is pro-Bitcoin. Don't you think that now it is a safe asset class for an Indian to invest in?
US is the last thing you should learn from because it's a society of gambling. When somebody who's my neighbor who asked me to buy a Bitcoin, he says my Bitcoins are stolen. I said if it can be stolen, he is going to which police station? Baikala police station to look for crypto. सामने वाले को कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कहाँ से चोरी कहाँ से वो कहाँ रखा था.
Even if you're earning 1 lakh a month, you can achieve financial freedom. You're saying it's very easy.
It's very easy if you don't do mistakes, can grow money at 15-16%.
So I always will have short-term money requirements. For that need, what is the best product?
The most tax-efficient product is...
So Feroze, you're currently the joint CEO of India, one of India's largest wealth management company, Anand Rathi. You started off by studying mechanical engineering. How does one go from studying mechanical engineering to today managing 5,000 crores in assets? So just curious to know about your backstory.
Sure, Sharan. Like you rightly said, I did my mechanical engineering, not knowing where I was headed. It was not a plan for sure.
Yeah.
It was very extempore. If you look at mechanical engineering, I then realized engineering should be basic qualification because they really drill down mathematics in the first 2 years. And mathematics in life is intertwined with life itself. Everything has got mathematics, right? So mechanical engineering really helped me get those basics of regression, differentiation, integration, and its application.
Okay.
Then, of course, I thought I'll get a job, but I didn't get a job is why I had to do my MBA. But my dad had defaulted by then, but his factory had shut down. The loan rates were very high back then, right? 16-18%. So my dad had a 2 crore defaulted loan. Right,
okay.
But I had to finish my MBA. I finished my MBA. I was teaching in Mysore. So I started with almost a minus 2 crores when I finished my MBA. And unfortunately, I had to start with a 9,300 rupee monthly salary. Whereas as a teacher in Mysore, I'd actually started earning a lakh back then because I was teaching in 3 evening colleges.
Okay.
But I took this dramatic step of coming into wealth management in spite of taking 1/10 the salary moving to Bangalore because I really thought that there was a huge prospect for a good private banker. Because back then also, a private banker who was good was earning $1 million. That time it was 5 crore rupees. But the best teacher was only earning 3 lakh rupees a month. So I was already at a lakh. There was hardly any headroom as a youngster at 21, 22. You have only 200% growth left for the next 40 years. You're nowhere there.
So you graduated from college with a 1 crore debt. You got into a teaching gig making 1 lakh a month. And then you decided to leave that and move to Bangalore at 1/10 the salary of 10,000 rupees per month, knowing that you have a 1 crore loan to pay because you thought there is a faster growth prospect in the wealth management industry than as a teacher.
Then I moved to ABN AMRO. Then I spent about 6, 7, 8 years. Then I realized that in wealth management, don't work for a MNC.
Okay.
Because MNCs, when things are tough, they want to sell India business. So I then decided I have to work for an Indian entity. Then I went to a company called Religare in Macquarie.
Maybe before you went to the next company, what was your last salary before you went to the next company? Because you started at 10,000 rupees a month. What did you end up at 10 years later?
So it might sound immodest, but what happened was I created history in ABN AMRO. There used to be a 3-year wait time before you change your grades. I finished 7 grades in 7 years. So it was like 21 squeezed down to 7.
Wow.
Because
grades matlab like promotions?
Promotions, yeah.
Okay.
And then I resigned as a vice president from ABN AMRO in 2010.
Okay.
What was the key mindset differential which your viewers might want to consider is most youngsters whom we today hire have a mindset that मुझे पैसा कितना मिलता है, मैं कितना काम करूँगा. They try and marry this. If you give me 50,000, I'll work for 50,000. That's one of the worst strategies. If he gives you 50,000, if your employer gives you 50,000 a month, work for 2 lakhs a month. Then he will see the difference. I'm giving him 50,000. He's working as much as 2 lakhs. If I don't correct it, somebody else will correct it and he'll get insecure and he will bring it to a lakh. If he is a good professional to work for. If you're working for somebody who's going to use you, then this strategy will not work. That worked for me. For 7 subsequent years, I would always work more than what I have been paid. And any demotivation coming from my friends that you're working more than what you're earning, teri baap ki bank nahi hai. That's what people used to tell me. One fine night I was in the bank. I used to go at peace. After 11, 12, I used to go back to the bank.
Okay.
And one laptop, that time it used to be prized possession. Today laptops was lost and stolen. So I was alleged to have stolen it because I'm the only guy who comes in the night to work at peace. So
You go to the office at 11 o'clock in the night.
11 o'clock in the night so that I can plan my next day because I was a bachelor. There was nobody
What are you
destined
saying?
to be
You
back.
go at the office at 11 o'clock in the night to plan your next day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's nobody else. I can run a report and see who's gotten richer overnight.
Okay.
And then call those guys who got monies in the bank accounts.
Interesting. So that's what you've been doing. You did for this first 7 years. And then what was your last drawing salary when you left the organization?
If I remember right, I was 22 lakhs annum,
Okay.
which was about a couple of lakhs a month. That was about 20 times. This was my fixed salary. But then wealth management is all about bonuses. So I would have earned about 50 lakhs a year from 1.2 lakhs a year.
And what was your age?
I was about 29.
So at 29, you were already making 50 lakhs a year.
Yeah.
And then what is the next chapter after that? What company did you join next?
And then I came to Anand Rathi. This was the full story. Now I'm the joint CEO.
And then this is the third company and you've never looked back since then.
Yeah, I don't wish to ever change a job. Ideally, if ABN AMRO didn't have to sell the business, I would have still been in my first job.
So Anand Rathi, you've been how many years now?
13 years.
13 years. All right. Now I have a favor to ask you, right? So I've been learning about finance for the last 5-6 years, and I've been trying to understand how wealth managers such as you manage money for HNIs. So I want to do a quick exercise with you, not a quick, a very detailed exercise, I would say, as to how to actually manage money. But let us speak from the perspective of a retail investor. For the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to assume a person who is making 1 lakh rupees a month in today's India, living in a metro city or a tier 1 city. If, let's say that is me, and I'm coming to you as a client, let's say you accept me as a client, let's do that exercise. Can you tell me, can we begin that exercise? Like what sort of questions you would ask me? And let's go step by step.
Super. The first question I'll ask you is, one is your salary. That's the P&L of a person.
Correct.
This is also called the balance sheet of a person. I could still be earning 1 lakh and I might have a 1 crore loan to settle off. I could have earned 1 lakh, but I might still have 40 lakhs, which I have, which my parent gave me.
Correct.
So one is I'll understand your P&L. I'll understand your PAT, post-tax P&L. Then I'll understand your expenses. Then I'll understand your savings capability.
Got it.
And then your luxuries or wants.
So, okay. So let me give you some quick numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm 30-year-old today.
Very good.
I'm not married. So let's say I want to get married in a couple of years and I want to have kids. I'm earning 1 lakh rupees a month and I'm able to save, let's say 25 to 30,000 rupees per month. I'm a single person, so I can save 25,000 rupees per month. Remaining 75 goes into rent and my lifestyle expenses. Now, obviously I have a lot of wants in life. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a car. I want to go on vacations every year. I want to buy the latest, iPhone products and all of that. But I'm not sure how I should go about doing it. Most people, my friends, will get married in the next 2 years and then buy a house. I'm not sure if I should do it. People on social media saying, don't buy a house, rent it. So I'm really confused. So this is my current financial situation. Saving about 25,000-30,000 rupees a month and about to enter into some very important life events like marriage and having kids and about to make a very important decision like buying a house or buying a car.
Wonderful. So that's your P&L. Now I'll have to ask you some follow-up questions.
Yes, please.
What's your current saving?
My current savings? At the age of 30, I would say most people would have saved about 10 lakh rupees in their, maybe they've invested in some FDs and index funds, right? That's
perfect. So firstly, if you have 10 lakh rupees savings, is there any liability you currently possess?
No, right now, no liabilities, no loans.
How many dependents do you have? Your parents, are they dependent on you? Or
No, my parents are self-sufficient. I'm not obligated to send money back home.
Phenomenal. Yeah. So first is, I would say that your 10 lakh rupees, which is your savings, is going to try and fund the most immediate goal of yours, which is marriage, right? When you get married in a metro, of course, now after hearing this, every opposite gender in the watching you would say that
it's a hypothetical situation.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
आपने
कितने दिल तोड़ दिए एक झटके में, hypothetical बोल के. Okay, then coming back, I would say that your asset allocation for your current savings, if you have a big lump sum expense to come, has to be modest into equity. But your 30,000 rupees, every penny has to go into equity.
Okay.
Okay, why it has to go into equity is because you're at the age of 30. Okay, so what I'll recommend is your SIPs of 25, 30,000 which you're saving, I will first try and push it to the full 30,000. Even if it's 25, I would say you should try and make sure that your SIP is running at 30,000 a month.
Okay.
Because there's no penalty for you to miss some months.
Yeah.
Right? And 100 rupees could be the maximum penalty. So 30,000 in equity. Your current assets of 10 lakhs. If you already have counted EPF, then if that's 10 lakhs, that's a reasonable debt allocation which you have. For marriage, you can use your EPFO money because that's the least profitable money over long term.
Correct.
So I always use my EPO. I'll recommend you to use your EPFO monies which get accumulated for your short term goals and empty it because there are conditions on which you can redeem it. So now coming to the 30,000, all that 30,000, I would say should go into mutual funds. Okay. If you really are inclined to buying some stocks, then you can identify 20 or 30% of this 30,000, which is 10,000 into stocks.
Okay. So, but how do I know what is my goal, right? Because a lot of people are investing blindly. Let's say for me, now I'm investing 30K per month. When do I know that I have enough money? Like when do I know that this is the target and I need to achieve this target by this age? Rather than just blindly investing money, right? Most people are just investing for, let's say, okay, I have kids now. My kid's going to need a lot of money. So I'm just going to park that in FD because their education is coming up. I need to pay their school fees, tuition fees, so on and so forth. I need to buy a car now. So let me get a loan and I'm going to pay off that loan. So what is that number that I need to have in mind for a retail investor today living in India, which can be my number one goalpost?
Perfect. So if you look at what should that number be, see, you will have about 5 most important life events. You can find out what those 5 life events are. It could be marriage, it is child's education, it is retirement, it is holidays. These are the 4, 5 very important. And a car. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was missing.
Yeah.
So 5 important life goals are there. You have to find out your present value of all of those. Right? I can, of course, share a calculator if you have to be very precise. But let me give you some thumb rules.
Yes.
Now you're at the age of 30. I would say that your child would be ready to go to school in the next 6, 7 years. If you get married in a year, in another 5, 6 years, you will have some reasonable expenses. Right? So whatever you need after 5, 7 years, you divide it by 2 and visualize that that's the kind of money you would have needed today.
Achha.
Right? Because inflation will catch up. If you need 10 lakhs, then means you would have needed 5 lakhs today.
Okay.
Right? So in every 7 years, you divide it by 2. By which I mean, if you need 50 lakhs after 14 years, assume you need 12 and a half today.
So another way of looking that would be because I know the price today. Let's say, for example, my kid's college fees is 1 lakhs a year, but I don't have a kid right now. 7 years later, it'll be 2 lakhs a year.
Absolutely.
So that I should double it. If it's 7 years later, it'll be double. If it's 14 years later, it'll be quadruple.
Absolutely.
So that's the thumb rule.
Yeah, that's the kind of money you need first.
Okay.
First, you know what's the money you will need. Then you can find out what is the SIP I will need to get to that money.
Got it.
So first, I'm just giving you a thumb rule to inflate any value. Of course, each of these items can have different inflation numbers, but they even out. When I'm speaking about these 5 items, it'll even out. It doesn't matter. Money is fungible, right? So you double it every 7 years. So if it's 21 years, you have to make it 8 times. And then you will be able to find out what is the SIP I need today. Since you're so young and you're starting now, I suspect that you would not be falling short with, I think, 35, 40,000 should be good enough to fulfill all your aspirations.
35, 40,000
of SIP today,
okay,
grown at 15% every year, should take care of these 5.
You're saying it's possible?
It's very much possible.
But here's a quick question. So buying a house is the most important financial decision in any person's life. When you buy it and how much you buy it for can really change the math significantly. Correct. For the other important goals like retirement and your kids' education and all of that. So my question to you is, assuming the 1 lakh per month income and you can save about 30,000 rupees every month towards stocks and mutual funds. But parallelly, if I get into a home loan, which can take up half of my take home, do you think it's possible to take care of the other financial goals in India today, considering how inflation is growing and how expensive things are getting, especially in the bigger cities?
Impossible, to say the least.
right?
Right? It's practically an impossibility. Most of the metros have outgrown the people who meet houses. Right? 5 करोड़ का घर 3 लाख की पगार वाला बंदा रह रहा है.
Correct.
भाई 5 करोड़ के घर का EMI 5 लाख आने वाला है. उसकी टेक होम सैलरी 3 लाख है. So the house is housing somebody who can't afford that.
Correct.
That's why, because the rental yield is there.
Right.
Sometimes company provides, and there was tax advantage of HRAs.
Right.
That's why so you can't, most people who live in that house, they can't afford to buy that house. So metros have outgrown it. That's why, like you said, the debate with rent, in a metro, you should always rent, to my mind. If you buy the house, then you will be into a debt trap of not being able to save for other goals.
So if you say that real estate has now become like a instrument used as a land bank for like the ultra rich people of India to price out the middle class people who actually want to live there. They can't really afford these houses anymore.
So you have to give some credit to the government. One biggest thing which used to hurt me immensely was Section 54 and 54F in the Income Tax Act, which says if you sell a property for 500 crores, it used to say 500 crores, I sold a property, I bought it for 50 crores. The landowner has made 450 crores. He puts that 500 crores back to buy another larger land parcel, would pay zero tax. Now, this was like a vicious cycle of money getting into real estate.
Right.
They at least capped this 54 and 54F to 10 crore rupees. At least, I'm not deriving sadistic pleasure. Most of my clients are large people. They should not hear me and say, yaar, ye to hamara hi dushman bana hua hai. Nahin. But I'm not deriving sadistic pleasure. It's not right to incentivize an asset class, to perpetually defer taxes eternally across generations. That's what real estate has done.
Correct.
Now, that impact of 54 and 54F getting capped will be seen in the next 10, 15, 20 years, where people are now saying, okay, I'll invest in equity.
So they'll be forced to remove money from those land, and then the land prices will eventually correct itself. Interesting. Okay, so now so I'm still 30-year-old, making 1 lakh a month. I've decided not to buy a house because you're saying if I do buy a house, financial freedom is, a 100% probability that I'll never achieve. Now, if I'm earning 1 lakh rupees a month, not buying a house, do you think it's possible for a person like me to achieve financial freedom in India?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. It's very easy to achieve financial freedom. Okay. And when I told you not to buy a house, you'll be surprised. Till last month, the house I was living in was a rented house. Okay. Now I have
And you're 45 today.
I'm 45.
And you're still renting.
I was renting.
You was
Now I bought 4 floors in the same building.
Okay.
And that money, if I would have advanced this decision, I would have got half the floor. But that half the floor invested, I computed, if I bought the house when I moved into this particular house, was 7 years back. That time I would have bought only 3/4 the floor, but I invested that money. Now I bought 4 floors. At least 2.5 of that came out of the decision of deferring that purchase and not being emotionally drained, saying that I'm living in a rented apartment. Everybody taunted me because I deferred that decision. So when I'm giving you that gyan that not kharido, I've lived till there. I almost was going to lose my spouse if I didn't actually register it.
Okay. So you're saying that if you even if you're earning 1 lakh a month, you can achieve financial freedom. You're saying it's very easy. Can you tell me some numbers why you think it's very easy?
It's very easy because India is going to grow a good set of mutual funds. If you don't do mistakes, can grow money at 15-16%.
15-16% CAGR?
CAGR, yes.
Interesting. So now let's get to the asset allocation, right? Because people say when you're thinking about growing your money or investing your money, it always starts with the asset allocation. And today retail investors have access to a lot of things. 3 years back, they'd be like, okay, let's put everything in stocks. Last year, they would have been like, okay, we should have put everything in gold. This year, they would have been like, okay, we need to put everything in crypto, right? So according to you, what is the ideal asset allocation that people should follow, regardless of what asset is performing best or not? That's question number 1. Question number 2, do you think we need to follow a simple static asset allocation, or does it need to keep changing based on what I'm predicting for that year?
Let's debate this because I'm saying something which the world is not saying. There's one client of mine who has 2,500 crores.
Okay.
One family. One person would be wrong to say. One family has 2,500 crores. Okay, after going full circle, he says, I'll only buy 2 to 3 kinds of products. There are 21 product lines. He himself has banned 18. Okay. But the rest of the guys who got 10 crores, I'm convincing them that please let go of these. I'm that person who's saying to all these ultra HNIs who love so much variety that you should not have them. So I'll spend a minute of why. Okay. See, are we not supposed to take the best for ourselves?
Yeah.
How can 21 bests be possible? Okay, if in a class there are 21 people, can all kids come first?
No.
Right? If you have to give ranks, you will not give 21st rank to demean him, right? You will give him the 3rd rank, 4th rank, tak aap rank count karoge. So who's forced me that I should have everybody in the classroom as one of my child, right? So I'm saying whichever is the best. Best can't be more than 3, 4, right? Now comes the question, what parameter decides he is best? It can be return, it can be risk, or it can be risk upon return. Or return upon risk, efficiency. I would say return alone is an incomplete thing.
Yeah.
Risk alone is incomplete. Risk-adjusted return should be the barometer on which you should rank these 21 products.
Correct.
Then comes the next step. Sharan, there are 4 ways to measure risk-adjusted return. Like I can measure weight in kgs and pounds. There are 4 ways to measure. Okay, I'll not bore the audience with it. Okay, I can rattle out the names of it.
Things like Sortino ratio and all of that. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll not confuse the audience. In my opinion, there is a person who's called Jensen. He generated a formula called Jensen's alpha.
Jensen's alpha.
Okay. Sharpe ratio is 1. William Sharpe brought in Sharpe ratio.
Yeah.
These are all measures of risk-adjusted return.
Yeah.
Take my word for it for the moment, not with any credibility, but if you're measuring risk-adjusted return of a portfolio, Jensen's alpha is a great measure.
Okay.
If you're measuring risk-adjusted return for one product, Sharpe ratio is the best measure.
Got it.
So now for products is what we are speaking about, 21 products. Calculate the Sharpe ratio of all 21 product lines and whatever time period you want to see. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, however long each product line has adequately been there.
Got it.
I arranged all these product lines in the descending order of risk-adjusted return. The top came as structured products.
Really?
The second came as mutual fund. Right? Then I said structured product or mutual fund.
So, but I think we need to explain what structured product is because I'm sure 99% of audience don't know what it is. So what is a structured product? And assume that I'm a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah, I can explain, but a 15-year-old can't afford it, unfortunately.
Okay.
You'll have to earn till you're 50 to afford it. But yeah, from an explanation standpoint, I can explain.
What is minimum investment for a structured
1
product?
crore.
1 crore.
1 crore.
So it's considered like a AIF?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right?
So explain to me.
I'll explain. It's actually very simple. When you buy a bond, okay, it's like a bond, very similar to a bond with a little tadka, which is a little different. If you bought a bond of, let's assume, a X company, Tata's.
So bond is basically a loan you give to a company for a fixed interest.
Great. Let's start from 10-year-old. A bond is an instrument where you lend money. If you lend money to a friend, he has bought a bond from you, or you have bought a bond from him. You have a promise from him to return.
Correct.
Bond is nothing but a written promise to return your money back.
Correct. And everybody does it. Reliance does it. ITC does it. Like
everybody borrows money.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them borrow money.
Yeah.
And they promise to return your money. The promise, if it is in writing, is called a bond.
Got it.
Correct. Now, whenever they give you in writing, you will not lend them money unless they promise you some interest also.
Correct.
Right? Why will you? I'll give him 1 lakh. He has to give me something every year, no? Otherwise, मेरा रिश्तेदार तो ना है कि मैं उसको लाख रुपए दे दूँ. In that bond, he will write down, I'll return your 1 lakh rupees after 5 years. In the meantime, when I'm using your money, which is your hard-earned money, I'll give you 9,000 every year.
Okay.
Which is 9%. 1 lakh रुपए मेरे ले लिए, 9,000 हर साल देगा. At the end of 5 years, he'll give me back my asal also. 1 lakh.
Okay.
This is a bond. Okay. Now, what is a structure product? A structure product is a bond which does not fix your return.
Acha. Okay.
The previous example, he had fixed it. Saying that 9% दूंगा भाई.
हाँ.
अब अगर fixed नहीं है, तो एक suspense है.
हाँ.
He will say, अगर nifty, now he is giving you a variable payoff. Sometimes he'll give you, some years he can give you 15,000 also per year or 0 also per year.
Acha.
Depending on how nifty performed.
Okay.
So what is a structure product doing is it's capping your return, but giving you a higher chance of that capped return. It's giving you a higher probability of a mediocre return. So as a combination, these two complement each other. So when I make an ultra HNI portfolio, I'm saying, ये आपका mutual fund में you're putting 65% of your money. If markets goes bonkers, you have enough money laid there. If markets were to disappoint, at least this guy will come to your rescue. So as a plan A and a plan B, this combination, if you test this portfolio, comes as the most efficient as per William Sharpe.
Acha, okay. Going back
And
to the
Harry
register.
Markov. That's the Nobel Prize winning guy. In 1996, William Sharpe won a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
So this combination we arrived at by testing 5,152 portfolios.
5,152 portfolios of actual clients, you're saying?
No, simulated.
Simulated test. Okay.
If I would have done this, what would have happened? If I had done this, what? That's where technology comes to choose the best products and then after that, the best portfolio.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's quickly go back to the retail investor. You said this structured products is only accessible to people who can at least minimum invest 1 crore in this. So that's out of reach for most people in this audience here. So in that ranking, we finished number 1, structured products, number 2, mutual funds. What else comes which a retail investor can hopefully invest in?
I would say mutual funds, equity mutual funds, give you better long-term returns than exotic equity. The second, which ranks
What does that mean, exotic equity?
Exotic equity could be a PMS. So mutual funds is first. Second is gold ETF.
Gold ETFs. So okay, you're excluding structured products now because they are
Because that's not affordable, right?
Yes.
Third, if you're very sensible about buying unlisted equity, that can be a good Sharpe ratio.
Really?
If you bought
Unlisted equity?
Yeah, unlisted equity.
Okay.
So if you look at mutual funds, gold ETFs are the best in terms of Sharpe ratio. REITs are the worst. They'll give you the least return with a high standard deviation.
Acha.
India is a very low REIT market. You have the Embassy REIT and you have the Brookfields of the world.
So don't invest in REITs.
Definitely not. In any unstructured market, putting a structure, India's real estate, be it commercial, residential, has so much anomaly. Of course, governance, I'm not commenting about governance. Operating a real estate in India is not so simple, and putting a structure around it is, I think, is going to eat away a lot of other return because of inefficiency. Like one of the biggest real estate funds, which was launched in 2005. Unfortunately, I've done that mistake. I gave it to all my clients in ABN AMRO. I earned commission out of it. I went and apologized for at least 4-5 years after that.
Wow.
Made 3% return. Okay, in 2005 to 2015, 3% return. Even if you bought a house in Mira Road, it would have become 3 times in that period. Then I was trying to do all the research to say, you need to be an artist to not make money between 2005 to 2015 after collecting 1,500 crores in your bank account. How did you make only 300 crores in 10 years on 1,500 crores? Then I went into second fund, third fund, fourth fund. I found so much which doesn't meet the eye. This is not for REITs. Okay, REITs is still a listed entity, high governance, commercial, more rental yield. I'm not making a judgment there.
Okay.
So REIT is one of the most inefficient to my mind.
And then what about FDs and bonds? Would you not put your money over there?
I would not put Sharan's money unless there's a gun on my head.
Okay.
Definitely not.
No, but like for somebody who's earning 1 lakh a month, middle class income, you don't recommend investing in FDs and
At
bonds?
the age of 30, the answer is a big no.
No.
Big no, big no, big no. Why? Because you will see in 10 years, give me anybody who propagates debt for a 10-year money needs to at least bring me one statement of a person who did an SIP for 10 years and made less than debt return or at least lost capital. You will not find one statement.
Yeah.
Somebody who's bought a good fund or 5 funds, for example, would have beaten debt in all circumstances. So when my money is 10 years, why am I planning for that 1% probability?
No, but what about, let's say, as a 30-year-old, you said 2 years later, I have to get married. I'll need to go on a vacation every year. So I always will have short-term money requirements of, 5 to 10 lakhs. So for that need, for a short-term money requirement, what is the best product?
The best product is, the most tax-efficient product is debt plus arbitrage.
Debt plus arbitrage.
Okay, what has happened is, there is a section, government उठी एक दिन और एक section introduce कर दिया February 2023 में. Section 50AA.
Okay.
Which made sure that even if you own a debt fund for even 50 years, 100 years, you will be called short-term capital gain.
So taxed as per your income.
Such an oxymoron. No? Short term is forever.
Huh.
Like the youngsters, short-term relationship is like marriage. It can't ever be a short-term relationship. Is not a marriage, right?
Right.
So the word short-term describes a debt fund's holding for 20 years is also short-term. 30 years is also short-term. That's what Section 58AA did. So made debt funds very tax inefficient. If you have 30% in a debt fund in the form of an arbitrage, then 2 years में आप long-term में घुस जाते हैं. That becomes more tax efficient.
Can you repeat that? 30% of?
30%, 35% of a debt fund, if it's arbitrage fund, arbitrage is buying and selling a same commodity and taking care of price difference is called arbitrage. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
If you buy apples in Dadar in the morning, on the phone call, you speak to somebody in Malad saying that, yeah, I'll give you 1 kg apple at 102 rupees within 3 hours. But I bought it in Dadar at 100 rupees. I already have bought the apples. I already have a contract to sell the apple at 102. I've taken 3 hours mohalat because it will take 3 hours of travel time. This is called arbitrage. So buying a share in cash market and immediately contracting to sell it tomorrow. And taking care of the price difference is called arbitrage. So any debt fund which has 65% in pure bonds like we discussed and 35% in equity arbitrage will qualify for a long-term capital gain after 2 years.
So then that will be taxed at 12.5% for.
Absolutely, sir.
Got it.
So that's the most efficient tax efficient instrument, especially if you get into the highest tax bracket.
For the short-term goal requirements.
Absolutely. Any money greater than 10 years, it will be a painful process of underutilizing your money. It's like debt is like smoking for long-term monies.
Right. So now let's go deeper into this asset allocation within equity, because fine, I understood the structured product, but if I'm a retail investor, if I can't put into structured product, you're saying second option is gold ETF. Is there anything else?
These two are good enough.
This enough. So you're saying 65% of my money in mutual funds, equity mutual funds, and 35% in gold ETFs. Right? So this is the broad level asset allocation. You do not recommend products like crypto, P2P investing and all of that?
Unfortunately, no. Anything which makes me become very emotional with my decision making, I would say no. And most people end up losing, not because the asset didn't make money.
No, but like something like Bitcoin, which is at right now 1 crore a Bitcoin. You're still not like, and the US government is also purchasing Bitcoin. Trump is pro Bitcoin. Elon Musk has so much of Bitcoin reserves in Tesla. So when you hear all of these macro parameters, not just that, American mutual funds are launching Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, right? So when institutions are getting into it, right, and even large payment gateway companies are now accepting Bitcoin, don't you think that now it is a safe asset class for an Indian to invest in for long-term compounding?
See, US is the last thing you should learn from. Okay. I'm telling you why. Because it's a society of gambling. I'll give you data.
Society of gambling. Okay.
Right? You look at the margin funding. They trust $1 trillion of margin funding book.
Okay.
You look at anything which can be speculative in nature will have takers in the US. There are lesser Warren Buffets and the more Jim Simpson. Okay. Oh, it's a tongue twister for me. Right? So don't learn always from US just because they are ahead in terms of capital markets. Why am I saying that is, one principle is a good principle for a youngster to have. If you don't understand, don't own. Now I'll prove it to you that most people don't understand crypto who deal in crypto. If you don't deal in crypto, you're not duty bound to understand it. But if you have invested or currently invested or have invested, you should have answer to this pointed question. If you don't have, then you're not meant to. You're flouting one principle, which is know what you own.
Okay.
What is that? See, when you invest in an asset, if one of those cryptos have become zero suddenly overnight, you should know what went behind. There's something called the Terra Luna which went bankrupt overnight.
Right.
If you asked anybody what happened, it was supposed to be called a stable coin. One of the nights it came down 70%. The next day it became 0%. 100% fall. Now, if somebody is invested in crypto, should he not investigate this case?
Yeah.
And clearly understand what actually happened. Most people will not be able to answer, but they will own it. I can explain what happened, but that's a technical explanation. But so most people who own it are using it as speculative investment because they don't have the answer to this. Sure, would you?
Yeah, no, I agree with cryptocurrencies as a category as a whole. But if you look at just the blue chip cryptocurrencies, the one which has institutional taking, then don't you think it would be okay? Like at least Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is like so well capitalized, each of them are almost $1 trillion of money invested. Then don't you think it is a little bit safer compared to? I'm not telling all cryptocurrencies are good, just the top 2 or top 3.
Yes, definitely it could be a part of one's portfolio, especially you can buy it in a unitized fashion at whatever amounts you want. But doesn't give me the comfort when somebody who's my neighbor who asked me to buy a Bitcoin, he says my Bitcoins are stolen. I said, if it can be stolen, he is going to which police station? Baikala police station. To look for crypto. सामने वाले को कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. कहाँ से चोरी, कहाँ से वो कहाँ रखा था. Right?
Got it.
If exchange is not regulated and suddenly there is some hacker in the exchange, who is protecting my interest? I don't know. Right? So there are so many unknown variables. Just imagine going to a Baikala police station and saying, "Mere crypto chore ho gaye." Whom are you explaining this to? Try and explain this. I can name the colleague of mine. He told me to Bitcoin kharid. He told me at 50,000. Right? He told me buy. I said, चल तेरे कहने पे मैं खरीद लेता हूँ. But फिर थोड़े दिन में आके मेरे 3 Bitcoin चोरी हो गए यार. मेरे चोरी कैसे हो जाते हैं मुझे पता नहीं. Right? So today you have 2 depositories, NSDL है, CDSL है. डीमैट में कुछ रखूंगा, चोरी नहीं होगा, इसकी तो गारंटी है.
Correct.
Right? आज लिस्टिंग हुई है 2 दिन पहले NSDL की. CDSL is a listed company. Right? So there are so many unknown variables. I'm not saying Bitcoin is bad, but Bitcoin will never be a currency. Again, people are mistaking one big myth. I had a big debate on one of those panels on some CNBC show. The guy said, yeah, it's a currency. Okay, today. It's not a currency. If Tesla accepts Bitcoin, it doesn't make it a currency. He has to price the car in Bitcoin. You go to a restaurant. Okay, he's priced it. This dish is at 3,000. This is at 1,000. This is my total bill came as 30,000. I can pay using my watch also. I leave the watch behind. My watch doesn't become a currency. He knows this watch is worth more than the 15,000 bill. He'll keep the watch happily. Unless he gives me the bill in the form of 0.3 watches. That's the difference between a currency and a mode of payment. Right? If the people are saying to retailers, saying Bitcoin is a currency. No, it's a mode of payment. It becomes a currency when you see the menu with Bitcoins. So that's the pitch which I don't agree. And that's what people who own Bitcoins have been peddling, saying that it's becoming a currency. It's not becoming a currency. It's a mode of payment. Mode of payment could be my watch, my jacket. If I have to pay 500 to somebody, I'll leave the jacket. He'll say, हाँ यार jacket 500 में मिल रहा है ले लेता हूँ. क्या ये currency हो गई? ये mode of payment हो गया. Right? So such full industry being peddled on lies or inadvertent lies makes me feel very uncomfortable for a non-unassuming owner.
Got it. So, all right. So now let's go deeper into the equity mutual funds that you talked about. 65% of it should go into equity mutual funds, you said. So how do I look at selecting mutual funds in this particular asset allocation? What is your framework? Do you have a framework as to how do I pick the right mutual funds? Because I think there are more than 4,000 mutual funds in India today. Right? In equity, if I look at it, probably will be a couple of thousand. So what is that framework from which I can get the best performing equity mutual funds?
There are 11 parameters which we use. That's the statistical parameters which we use, which have some predictive capability. I'll give you a very simple example. Okay, there are so many things you can measure about a fund. Like I can measure my height, weight, blood pressure. I can measure so many attributes. आज आप एक blood देते हो तो इतनी सारी attributes दे देता है. B12 कितना है. वैसे a fund can have 105 different things you can measure on him. But all the 105 are not such meaningful markers or measurements. So we saw which are the measurements which have a predictive capability of next year's performance.
Okay.
Like my wife. Okay. Before she gets angry, she becomes pink.
Okay.
So if I catch her pink face, this is a predictive variable of her getting angry.
Right.
What I do after I see her pink face will decide whether this will convert into anger or not.
Right. Makes sense.
So that's a lead indicator. Now I have to have my antenna up or Bluetooth in the current lingo because there are no more antennas. If my antenna is up, I can what I do will decide whether I will get her anger or calmness, because I'm looking for early signs of an anger. Similarly, we tested statistically. There is a subject called statistical astrology, which is called regression, which they teach in engineering, fortunately.
Okay.
Where it's like, if I can believe in palmistry, right, I should be able to believe in statistical astrology also, right?
Yeah.
So regression tells you which are the variables out of these 104, which can give you a prediction of the fund doing better next year.
Interesting. Right. What are those parameters?
So quite a few. There are 11 of them. Okay. Value at risk is the highest.
Which one?
Value at risk.
Value at risk.
Value at risk.
What is that? I've never heard of this.
Value at risk is how much, see, it's a risk measure. Like beta we discussed now is a risk measure. Very interesting. Beta is saying that if 0.6 beta means 40% lesser risk than Nifty.
Yes, that time.
Value at risk tells you if markets crash, what happens to my money? That's value at risk. See, now I have to give you an example. Okay. Risk can be measured in 3 ways. Let's assume from here, if I go to Pune. On the way to Pune, the chance that I'll reach Pune is a risk that I'll never reach Pune. मेरी गाड़ी खराब हो जाएगी. That is measured in something called standard deviation. The chance of reaching my end. Beta measures how bumpy my road is. How bumpy my road to reach Pune is.
Right.
That's a different way of measuring my risk. Third is, if at all there was a crash on the way, will I survive or not survive?
Achha.
All 3 are measuring a certain kind of risk. Probability of reaching my destination is standard deviation. Bumpier road to reach the destination is beta. If crash happens, will the seat belt make sure that the airbags open is value at risk.
Got it. So in mutual fund, there is something called
value at risk, which is a risk measure, which is a little different than beta. Because people, your viewer will think beta तो अभी risk measure बताया, हाँ value at risk को दूसरा risk measure, कितने risk measure सीखेगा? क्योंकि सब अलग चीज measure कर रहे हैं, but risk की measure कर रहे हैं.
So how do you measure value at risk? Is there like a portal where I can get?
Yeah, Excel sheet has it.
Okay.
Fortunately, Excel sheet, all these formulae are inbuilt, and you'll be shocked on one thing, which is a finding. Higher the last point-to-point return, lower the chance that he will deliver that return next year.
Oh, so basically the fund which has the highest rank last year, lesser is the probability that it will give the similar returns next year. So that has been the study.
There is a minus 0.68 negative correlation. And people buy all funds when it's time to sell, and they sell all funds when it is time to buy.
I think a classic example of that has been the quant mutual funds, where people bought it at last year and now we're seeing what's happening.
Correct. So coming back, so out of these 11 parameters, I was just highlighting point-to-point return, which people love to see when they buy, and they buy high-performing past funds. They should see that and be averse to those.
Is it that there is no such thing as a best mutual fund? There is only a thing as best mutual fund for this period.
Correct. There's a best asset class. Be married to an asset class. Don't be married to a scheme.
Got it. Best asset class, I think what you've been saying from the last 1 hour is that equity. Within equity, which mutual fund will be the best? That depends on the time horizon and the time in which you're investing in that mutual fund. So how long do you typically need to give a mutual fund after you've invested to sort of judge whether it was a good call or a bad call?
If you're doing it self and you're managing your own money, then 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years. And what will I look at by analyzing it? Just the CAGR in compared to other category average?
No, I would see whether he has beaten the benchmark.
Okay, benchmark of that. So, or it could be the category average of that scheme?
Because categories are quite, everybody is operating in a different...
Just the benchmark of that scheme. So if it's a mid-cap mutual fund, compare it to the mid-cap index.
Tier 1 benchmark. See what SEBI did in 2018. It was told everybody, please follow one benchmark here. That's tier 1 benchmark is common for everyone.
Tier 1 benchmark.
Tier 1 benchmark. There's something called tier 2 benchmark.
Okay.
So if you're buying a mutual fund, if you're buying a mid-cap fund in India, the benchmark is Nifty Mid-Cap 150.
Okay.
There are at least 7 different mid-cap indices NSE and BSE publish.
Okay.
If this was not enough, FTSE and MSCI also publish their mid-cap index. But if you're a mutual fund investor, your life has to be revolving around Nifty Mid-Cap 150.
So this is for just the mid-cap mutual fund, right? But let's say I'm investing in a multi-cap fund. or let's say the Parag Parikh Flexi Cap Fund, considered to be one of the best mutual funds. What am I comparing that with to say that
Tier
this
1
is good?
benchmark for flexi cap is NSE 500.
NSE 500.
What SEBI did in 2018, they said take NSE 500. Divide this into 3. 100 stocks is large cap, subsequent 150 is mid cap, the last 250 is small cap. They've created 3 babies out of NSE 500 and said this is the benchmarking of tier 1 for most of the funds in India.
Got it.
But yeah, anybody who understands the formation of this, if I'm doing benchmarking, NSE 500, NSE's website today morning, or at least 5 days back, said NSE 500 is the top 500 companies in Indian listed space on the basis of total market cap. Okay, from an eligible universe.
Correct.
The eligible universe has 6 rules, which itself makes the eligible rule. Other than those top 500, smaller companies can come and bigger companies can be left out. That's why there are almost $42 billion companies not a part of the top 500, whereas the smallest one is $500 million.
Yeah, you mentioned this, the Raymond. Got it. But you still benchmark today your recommendations with this index because you don't have any other option.
But that's the rule for mutual funds.
That's the rule for mutual.
We should represent this to SEBI saying that, bhai, this formula needs to change.
So generally, as a financial advisor, what sort of alpha are you able to generate to the clients? Because when a client comes to you, I'm like, Feroze, please manage my money. And then 5 years later, I'll be like, okay, what is the growth rate? I'm sure the clients ask, what is the CAGR of my portfolio? You'll be like, it's 15%. Then I'll be like, okay, the Nifty 50 has given 18%. So you have not done a good job. Why am I paying you? So what is the alpha that you generally promise to the clients? And generally, what does a retail investor look at alpha, right? What kind of an alpha should they expect in their own portfolio?
Brilliant. Everything. Khao, kutliya, matlab all that is a process. This is the nichod. This is the question, actually. Right? So
Well, finally, it boils down to this. It doesn't matter what risk management you've done, bro, tell me the returns.
Absolutely. Relative return at least. Because Nifty is down 10%, nobody can do much. You're now speaking about relative return. So that should be 3 to 4%.
Alpha.
After all cost of the distributor. If a client asks me, मैं तेरे साथ कितने पैसे डाल रहा हूँ, 100 crore रुपए डाल रहा हूँ, I am earning 1 crore 9 lakhs. If he gives me 100 crores, I earn 1.09% after GST on my 14 schemes. If I am earning 1 crore per year on his 100 crore, how much should he beat Nifty by? 3 to 4% per annum. After this commission, which I earn through the asset.
You're giving him regular funds, right? Because
I'll give regular funds. So that will have a larger expense ratio.
Correct.
Then direct funds. It'll remunerate me 1.09, like I'm openly saying. As a listed company, I always say this, what I earn.
1.09% you make.
After GST, I earn that. So you should expect 3 to 4% over Nifty.
So what are the must-have mutual fund categories that every retail investor should have in India today?
If you have money for first one fund, then it surely has to be a flexi cap.
Okay.
If you have second fund, then it has to be multi-cap.
Okay.
Then if you have the third fund, money for the third fund, now mutual funds are so affordable and people talking about 250 rupees. I really wish and pray. Even a retail can afford 4 funds. Then you go to the large cap category, then the mid cap category.
In large cap, would you recommend index or an actively managed large cap?
If you're courageous, then actively manage large cap.
Okay, but data shows that large cap is not.
The odds are low.
Odds are low.
Odds are low, but some funds give me hope. Like Quant Large Cap, which we were discussing, is one fund which gave 28% alpha on Nifty 1 year.
What do you
gave minus 9% alpha on another year.
Okay.
So if the problem is people want to hug the benchmark in large cap, because everybody's fighting for the market share.
Correct.
So they want to all be close to Nifty. There's some which have courage to be outside Nifty. So coming back, large cap.
And the last one you said is mid cap.
Mid cap.
No small cap?
If you have the fifth fund, then small cap.
And then what about ELSS and all of that?
ELSS, I will say no now. Because
Okay.
Section 80C, which is the tax benefit, is as good as not there anymore.
Correct.
You should go for the new tax regime anyway.
Got it. Cool. So now let me ask you the best fund according to you in each of these categories as of today in 2025. In FlexiCap, what is the best right now?
HDFC Flexi Cap.
And multi-cap, that is the second one, right? Multi-cap?
Yeah, Invesco Multi-Cap.
Large cap?
Large Cap, Quant Large Cap.
And mid-cap?
Kotak Emerging Equity.
And small cap?
Small Cap, Invesco Small Cap.
Got it. And You mentioned multi-cap and flexi-cap. Why both? Why not just one? Like, why do you think it's important for entering into both?
Because if you bought a flexi cap, you will get very little portion of small cap. The flexible flexi cap funds, which are about 38 of them, if you look at the average large cap holding, it's about 71%.
Got it.
So that gives a little tadka of small cap. But if I have the second fund, then multi-cap has a mandatory allocation of 25 for small, 25 for mid, 25 for large. So you will have some small cap for in the second fund more than the first one.
So you're saying every 15 months you sort of change the funds in the portfolio, right? And you have like a 30 people team who's always like doing this research of mutual funds to invest in. Now a client will come to you and be like, Feroze, fine, you told me this mutual funds, fine, you're getting me 16-17% returns annualized, but maza nahi aa raha hai. You know, I am looking at this Warren Buffett. I heard that Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has gotten 67% CAGR in the last 4 decades. I am seeing some crazy mutual fund. I'm seeing some crazy investors in the US who are getting 30% CAGR. I heard that my friend is doing trading and is getting 35% every year. So yaar, kuch naya bata do. Tell me something new which I can do beyond this, or what you can do for me beyond this as a financial planner.
So I would say, if that's the narrative, I'd say, if agar aapko maza nahi aa raha hai, to main entertainment ke liye to nahi baitha hu. Give me one guy who can show me an Excel sheet of all transactions which has made him 35% compounded. Okay, and you will not find. I was in one of those events where there were a few hundred people who are prospective or clients. One guy walked up after the event saying that, yaar, 15% ki tu baat kar raha hai stage pe baith ke. I am doing 35 for the last 10 years. I said, you're doing 35 on all your wealth. Let's do some back of the envelope math, whether this 35 number is making sense or not. I asked him, what was your net worth 10 years back? He said, I was about 7-8 crores. I said, last 10 years, did you earn more than you spent? He said, of course, my business did well. What would be your saving? He said, 50 to 80 lakhs. Sir, if you had 8-9 crores 10 years back and you saved 75 lakhs per year for the last 10 years, tell me what's your net worth today? He said, 35. That is a number which he precisely knew. Right? Everything else was andazan. I said, sir, if that 35% number of compounded return which you claimed, which other 20 people heard you say, like in a party, if it was right, guess what should have been your current net worth? He said, maybe 40 crores, yeah. I calculated and showed him that it has to be 142 crores. कहना बड़ा आसान है, 35% कमाया भाई, एक आधे % पे 35% कोई भी कमा लेगा. 100% पे 35% कमा के दिखा तो मानो.
Feroze, thank you so much. I think every minute I've been learning something new. I think your knowledge is so expansive and so vast that you've done so much research in the wealth management industry that, every question that I'm asking you, there's so much depth into it, right? There's so much research that has gone behind it. I think it's a true testament to how you've been able to climb up, the corporate ladder so quickly and to reach a position where you are. So thank you so much for taking out time out of your busy schedule and, revealing all of these investing secrets to all of us. I've personally learned a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharan. I should admit to you that you're doing a great service to a lot of youngsters. They all need some holding hands, right? Because like, for example, Anand Rathi Wealth Limited can't afford to manage a small client. Ethically, right? If I have a small client, then I have to be commission driven so you are helping fulfill that aspiration that India needs great hand holding, and for no commercial interest, direct commercial interest, you do that, and hats off. So when you called me to the podcast, I've been out of the podcast for long periods. So fan moment for me, my dear Sharan.
Thank you so much.
And I'm grateful to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. On that note, I'll see you in the next one.